Hey guys, it's Rishi TCG here, and I have a new deck guide video. And for the next week, we're going to be focusing on a deep dive into Black Lucci. We're going to be talking about the basic strategy, the deck's difficulties, the matchups with other decks, the deck list specifically in this video. It's going to be a three-part series, and this is part one of the series, where we're going to go over the deck and a couple of different concepts. Okay, so when you're going to pick up Rob Lucci, it's a pretty difficult deck. I'd rate it as hard as Sakazuki, Blue-Black Sakazuki. This is because that you have a lot more options, and with those options comes picking the right option. So it works in the same way as Sakazuki because it's trying to knock out as many of the opponent's attackers as possible, and while keeping the cards in hand at a high amount. But it's different because its removal is fucking explosive. We have Ennie's Lobby -2, Tempest Kick -3, -1 on leader ability, minuses from other effects on our board. So it really has the ability to KO pretty much anything that can be presented. It's difficult in terms of a deck. It has a lot of combo elements, and you need to manage your resources, not only your hands and field. So it really took me a good amount of games to really just wrap my mind around it. It's a skill deck, so if you're looking for a deck that is going to improve the more you use it and discover many things in the next couple months of OP7, then pick up Rob Lucci. And if you've never tried it before, I would like you to at least try it once, and I'm going to support you with as much information in this video. A little bit about me: I am not a top player. I have 4 top 128s and 1 top 64. I am just a content creator that likes the game, and I like talking about the game. So here's the video. Okay, so let's talk about Rob Lucci, okay? And we're gonna first talk about the certain inclusions that I chose to put in my deck. Okay, so we're going to talk about every single card in the matchup. We're going to talk about when to use them, why to use them, and how I use them. First, we're going to go over Spandam. On the face level, Spandam just looks like another top 3 searcher, trash 3 cards, but it's essential because most of our deck is CP. And if you want to hit a search target, you will want 28 or more. If you don't mind missing, like a few searches here and there, I think 22 to 24 CP targets is good. Spandine's really good because it builds the trash. Spandine needs to be used cautiously if you don't have an 8-drop because it can mill the 8-drop. You can't search any big bodies with Spandine other than 9-cost Stussy. Spandam, my bad. Now, speaking of Spandine, we're going to talk about Spandine. Again, CP card. Cannot be used in the early game, so we probably want to keep it down to 2 copies. We're gonna see a bunch of our deck. So this is a card we will probably want in our deck for the later game. Okay, so now let's go through card explanations. Now here's the deck list that I decided to go through. This is a relatively new deck list, and it's gonna be on the screen. Okay, so in terms of cards, you can. We're gonna start with 2Ks. Suru being the best 2K. It's not a CP card. Keep in mind, you can't search it, but it's Black's strongest 2K counter. Gives us this -2. Combined with Kaku, lets us hit 6 cost easily with leader ability because Kaku kills a 3 cost. On top of that, another important play that you can do in the late game is using Suru with a Rebecca to KO something. That Suru is fodder for your 9-cost Stussy. The next thing we're going to talk about is Spandam. There's no doubt that I'm going to play 4 of these. It's a simple searcher, and depending on how you use it, it can help you get closer to 8-cost Moria, or when you need to increase the CP count in your trash. There's a lot of CP restrictions on cards like 5-cost Kaku or Spandine, where you need to return a certain amount of CP cards back to deck. So keep in mind that adding a bunch of CP cards to your deck and increasing your CP ratio will make this easier. Khalifa. Okay, the Khalifa is an amazing card because it allows us to get closer to our Morias and 9-drops, which is kind of the win condition of Rob Lucci because its most potent lethal combos come from Moria. First of all, it's great that you can like recover Khalifa with Rebecca, and you can get it with Spandam, but it's also a 4 card slot. So you can play it on 4 Dawn if you just need to draw to something. And on top of that, if you're at 8 Dawn and you don't have a Moria, you can Khalifa into Rob Lucci. Khalifa into Rob Lucci is a filter into a KO effect. So I like that. Another nifty combo, which is a utility Moria for this, is we're gonna play Gecko, and after we play Gecko, we'll play Rebecca Spandine, and instead of Spandine spinning up a Lucci to make this a more lethal combo, we will instead use Spandine to summon Khalifa, and Khalifa will then right after that trash 2, discard 1, whatever you want to do, that sort of deal. Okay, so let's talk about Lucci. Okay, so Lucci is pretty a core card of the deck. It's 4 of. It's CP target. You need to up your CP ratios. KO's a 2-1 cost, and with Any's lobbies and Tempest Kick, much, much more. I think it's a really good card. I mean, like, I don't see. This is something that I just don't see you removing. And same with Rebecca. Rebecca is a blocker. Its recovery is insane. It's a blocker that doesn't reduce your hand size. You can retrieve cards like 5 cost Kaku or 3 cost Brook or even a 2K. And we're going to talk about another card called Nightmare Luffy that I'm playing for the BY Luffy matchup, which we'll talk about in future videos, but I'm going to talk about a little bit here. You can see that you can also retrieve Nightmare Luffy off that. So the next card I want to talk about is Kaku. I play 4 Kaku, ups my CP count. Really good card to slap down. It's a 6k body rather than a 5k body that KO something. With a leader inflict included, it can KO a 4 cost monster because it KOs 3 cost monsters. If you use it on the 3rd turn of your first turn, the opponent can only put out a 4 cost, so it'll essentially KO anything except Borsalino. If you combine it with Ice Age in the late game, you can KO 9 cost monsters and use the remaining 4 Dawn to play Rebecca. So it works better than Yellow Gadatsu. I compare it to Yellow Gadatsu, like in a way it looks like Yellow Gadatsu. Nah, it doesn't look like Yellow Gadatsu. But the cards you return are limited to CP, so if you're thinking of using it, be careful with CP. CP is a resource because if you need a really important removal and you don't have a CP card, you're gonna be fucked. Okay, so I have Sabo up next on the list. Sabo, not only does this guy make drawing a cost Moria easy, he's unrivaled in the mirror match because he makes our board unkayable, and yellow matches because he saves our life and can't be Amarud. Furthermore, if you recover Rebecca and play it, and you play 2 discretion resistant blockers with just 1 card from your hand, you basically heal 2. So this guy is also an attacker in the mid game. Surprisingly enough, find myself playing it down on curve a lot more on Lucci rather than Moria, because this deck is so focused on setting up your hand for those later turns. Because those later turns, we'll talk about Moria. Here it is. It is the fucking strongest black card at the moment. It's 8 cost Moria, which revives Rebecca Spandine, and then Rebecca's effect Spandine, and then Rebecca Spandine effect 4 cost Lucci, and then for some reasons 5 sides are lined up. This card will deploy like literally up to 20 costs. So it's a really good card in Lucci, and combined with the minus effects we were missing from Moria because of the ban, this creates the most potent Luccis. And I just the amount of combos I could potentially talk about will be in future videos, but for like there is so many different lines, which this deck is super creative. There's tons of different ways to kill people. There are different cards you can play. It's all about learning the deck and becoming a good player at this deck. Let's go to Stussy because, surprisingly enough, right now I'm playing either 4 or 3 Stussy. We'll see what I think about for tonight's locals, but it appears to me that Stussy is actually not that bad because a lot of these matchups are determined by who can play more top end and clear their top end. And Stussy Sabo is a great card, okay? I'm not saying Sabo is a bad card. I'm just saying I already have understanding of how I want to play the red purple law matchup. And I don't think I need Sabo. I just think it's overkill. So instead, I'm playing Stussy. But Stussy at the same time, it's a brick as well. It's a 9 cost, and it does kind of nothing to like multiple of it in your hand. Kind of does nothing. So at the same time, I'm thinking about 4 or 3 Stussy. This card is insane because you play it right after Moria, and you got an 8 and a 9 on board. It's good until it's really important to get these big bodies out into Black Yellow Luffy. Um, but yeah, that's enough said about this card. But we can talk. Let's just talk about all the cards and answers. Green 10 drop Doflamingo, 9 cost Zoro, NL's Yamato, or 10 cost Ace, Hancock's 10 cost Kaido. Pretty much everything in like any big body. So it's perfect against Bonnie and stuff like that, which I expect to see at least at the start of the set more than at the end of the set because people care about playing the new decks. You know. Okay, Tempest Kick. Okay, so one thing I see a lot of people doing wrong with this card. Okay, so it's not like Great Eruption. It is Great Eruption, right? But we don't get the -3 till later. So there's like, it's completely different. Like when Great Eruption, you always get the -2, so you can save it in hand for a turn. But it's a brick in our hand. So if we don't have 8 cost Moria, we don't have cards we need, we just play it immediately. Play it immediately because you most likely are not gonna need that card. You know, like like it's gonna just be in a brick in a hand, and it will help fuel your trash for the CP units that require CP costs. Because the CP cost, this itself is a CP9 card, if that makes any sense. So we're gonna talk Kaku as a 2K. I mean, like, it's kind of a shitty 2K, low key. It works sometimes. You can Rebecca Spandine Kaku and then do some other weird shit. Um, and Kaku's a -3. I mean, it comes up. It has come up for me. Like, it's not bad. It's a 2K. It's a searchable. I don't really have like anything really much to say about the card. Okay, Brook's good here. Brook's good when you need to conserve trash. So CP cards keep coming out of our trash and going back to our deck. So if you constantly KO everything with that, you'll run out of trash. So you need to use Brook somewhere along the way to conserve the trash that would have been returned, so that you will have more options in the following turns. And above that, you know, this guy, like, he has to get removed or he will be a menace. So it's a very good idea to play him somewhere in the mid game, I think. And a couple other cards. We'll talk about Annie's Lobby. Personally, I like Annie's Lobby. Okay, first of all, even though it's counterless, as I explained, it's a -2 every turn. It just feels so fucking broken. Combined with like shit like the card I'm gonna explain in a second, Nightmare Luffy and Leader ability, I'm able to pop a Sabo every turn. So this card is 4 copies if you use it, 0 copies if you want to reduce it. Feels great. And if I am gonna play 4, it's going to have to be a list with less Stussy because 4 is a lot. And let's talk about the last card that I'm thinking about adding, and it's called Nightmare. Okay, Nightmare Luffy. We're gonna go in depth on this in another video. Black Yellow Luffy matchup guide for this, but it has the effect of putting to trash. So if they play Sabo, spam Sabo, spam Sabo, Black Yellow Luffy, you can just trash it. Not only that, it's while attacking every turn. Yeah, it can be removed, but the only way they can remove it as a Black Yellow Luffy player is if they have some sort of cost reduction, which would be Ice Age or Suru or some shit. Probably not Suru. Probably Ice Age and Vegapunk Luffy. That's the only way, because there's no other small gap. So it's a really good card. Can be grabbed with Rebecca, and also has that secondary effect that can let it hit for a lot of trash and big. It's never come out for me, but first effect is enough for me to justify playing it. There's like some other ideas I had in terms of that, but this is the first video on deck building. That's all I had to really say. Here's the complete list on the screen right here. Let's go over it. I'm playing 4 Spandam. I'm playing 2 Spandine, 4 Khalifa. Is the list I want to use? One sec. Okay, this is not the list because I actually do not think there's that much Red Aramaki Law. Okay, yeah, so it's this list. We got 2 Stussy, 2 Sabo, 4 Moria, 4 Sabo, 4 Kaku. It's pretty standard. I'm looking at the ratios right now. This looks really good into what I like to call Black Yellow Luffy, like a hybrid meta, because you can decide if you want to play more Sabo or more Stussy, depending on if you see more decks that require Stussy or more decks that require Sabo. You get it? Anywho, that's my video. Thanks guys for watching, and if you like this content and you want to see more OP7 content, be sure to hit that subscribe and like button, and I'll see you guys later in the next video where we're going to be going over matchups. Thanks.